reception center can open up for a variety of reasons. It can open up if there is a power outage, if there's a flood. Sometimes we get called on about evacuations from northern communities, about the need to displace folks from that to our community. We're the stopgap that no matter anything might go awry, then if there's some place that people need to be evacuated to.
So what happens when a recreation center opens up for evacuees? I would be called in as the liaison to start the process of opening up the facility. What we do is we enter the location, we document the time that we enter the location, and then our first step is to look for the kits that are provided that hosts all the information or holds all the information that will prepare us for our day ahead of us.
So we can get notified from a variety of ways. We get notified from fire chief, or we'll get notified from the police that there has been an incident. So a call comes in to me. We then contact those on our call-out list, and we're required to then respond. So whether the incident's in a day or night, the phone call comes, then there's a call out, and so you're notified by myself or by one of our other managers. Generally, the first other group on the scene is the Red Cross, and so they're first off. Then we look at what other community partners we need. Do we need animal control? Do we need food from Good Shepherd or from Salvation Army? Those are the partners that we'll then notify.
The biggest part we play whenever the centre is actually set up is we work with the city liaison, and we look at what is actually required from the Red Cross. Red Cross has a few services that they offer whenever we're setting up a reception centre and also a shelter. The first one is the registration piece. This is where we're looking at family reunification. In the event of some kind of disaster, families can be split apart, and we help to try and re-establish that communication links with them. We can also coordinate with local hotels and provide commercial accommodation. Here we're providing personal assistance to assist people with physical, with social, or with emotional issues that have been created or aggravated by the disaster. We're dealing with and helping to support children, to be dependent adults, could be mobility impaired adults as well. And it could be something like getting prescription medication, helping to support them getting their medications. It could be providing hygiene kits, diapers for children, baby supplies. Maybe they need some eyeglasses that were damaged or destroyed in the disaster.
So with providing hydration, food, snacks for immediately, and then we also go into preparing for blankets and clothing for those that have been affected through an emergency. Donation management is one of the big things that the Salvation Army does. People like to bring things to an evacuation center. You get a lot of stuff that you really can't use. So it's better that they bring it to a center that's set up specifically for donation management. And the Salvation Army is very good at that, in accepting donations and storing it and making sure that it's available for any evacuees. The Salvation Army will first bring out its emergency response vehicle, which is the truck that we're standing in right now. This truck can actually provide food for up to 200 people at any one time, and it can actually be more when we actually make it in the truck. The truck has a full burners and stove that we can actually provide the food.
As part of the city's emergency plan, the Good Shepherd provides assistance when an evacuation takes place or an emergency as deemed by the plan. We would be providing short and long-term feeding for the evacuees with consideration to allergies and cultural differences. We are able to provide clothing to the evacuees as well as household items.
I always recommend that people keep comfortable, dress professional, but at the same time comfortable for the job that's ahead of you. So it might be 5 hours that you're involved, you might be involved for days depending on the nature of the concern.
At the reception center, when it's activated during an emergency response, public health nurses would use their nursing knowledge, their familiarity with the healthcare system, and their extensive networks in the community to help people obtain the resources they need to address their acute and chronic health needs. So that might be things like accessing a family doctor or it could even be getting medications or medical supplies.
We're the Victim Services branch of the Hamilton Police Service, and our role is crisis intervention, emotional support, and information and assistance to victims of crime or trauma. So if you're looking at a mass casualty situation or a mass shooting, something like that, to that effect, our role would be to work with traumatized individuals that have suffered loss or witnessed a scenario that has been quite traumatic to them. We can be a liaison to the police officers to get them information, but we can also deal with their emotional effect of what's happened.
Once we're here, we're responsible for the overall health care of the evacuees or whoever's going to be attending the reception center. So it could be anything from responding to an emergency in the reception center to just providing basic health screening, basic infection control and personal protective equipment to at-risk patrons such as the elderly, the immunocompromised, things like that. Regulating medications, making sure that people are taking their medications properly throughout their stay at the reception center. And we work closely in conjunction with public health to ensure that that's all done in a safe, efficient manner.
The reception center hosts a large number of people, and there's a potential for disease and illness outbreaks, so public health nurses could collaborate with other services here to establish and maintain proper disease and illness prevention and promotion practices, and we can also flag any potential health concerns.
So overall, a public health inspector's role is to make sure that the facility used is clean and fit for human habitation. So when we come, we would inspect things like food storage and handling, make sure the facility has adequate toilet, bathing and washing facilities, that they have adequate sleeping space, that infection control practices are adequate. We would make sure that there's proper hand washing going on. We don't want any communicable diseases transmitted, so that's when we could work with the public health nurses.
The role of the fire warden is to ensure that the evacuation procedures are given to all the evacuees at the reception desk, and that they're posted in the sleeping area. We're also responsible to ensure that the CO2 monitors are plugged into the red outlets provided at each of the centers, and to make sure that all the exits and entrances to the building are maintained in a manner that people can exit clearly. The fire warden is also responsible to remember to record the log sheets with the community partners. And we're also there to assist the Recreation Center liaison, as well as the Red Cross liaison.
So as far as the kit, it is in different locations throughout the city. So we have 10 centers that are used in case of an evacuation. So each location hosts their kit in a certain area, which the CES doc is able to provide the location. Inside the kit will be a number of items. One would be a vest. As you can see, I'm wearing a shelter liaison vest. Also included will be a liaison support for 2 staff members, as well as a vest for a fire warden. It's imperative that those are on. This helps individuals as well as the evacuees identify who they need to report to if they have any concerns or questions.
The rest of the community is notified is through a media release, through information on the television, social media now, so it's a much easier way of getting our message out about the evacuation center being opened. Hamilton Police then would conduct a door-to-door notification to let residents know that they need to either leave their location and where they can then go to. The residents are then evacuated. Generally, we have HSR buses that are the first location for folks to go to. So they have, whether it's in the night or whether in inclement weather, they go onto the bus, and then the bus would transport them to the reception center.
A lot of these evacuation rec centers won't house the animals, and that's where we step in, and we can, as I said, take them to our facility. We also strongly recommend that people who have their pets licensed and registered with the city, they also include an emergency contact information, because our shelter can be a high-stress environment for the pets. And so making arrangements with family or friends to have their animals cared for in the case of an emergency is a really good idea, and it gives us access to that information, and then we can then transport the animals somewhere safely.
We hope people find this video helpful. We hope it gives them a snapshot about what happens at a reception center when they're activated, how that comes about, and that how they know that they'll be notified in the future.